Hello, I'm Liz East. I work as a counsellor in Cape Town, and Andrew and I have the privilege of serving on the eldership team for JoshGen. And for this Headstrong video, I'm going to be talking about self-awareness. Self-awareness, I believe, is one of the key factors, and it's as the beginning of our walk into wholeness and healing. It's paying attention to ourselves. It's that emotional intelligence that knows why we do things and able to monitor our feelings and emotions in situations. It's really important that we have a better understanding of ourselves. It's restoring our soul, like Isaiah 51 talks about, that David asks for truth in his innermost being and wisdom in his innermost parts. So often, the common feeling of people is an overwhelmness, an unbearable emotion, and many times in depression, that is one of the huge contributing factors. Is its suppressed emotion. So we need to help people and ourselves unpack some of those emotions. We find our authentic self in doing that, rather than our adaptive self. And we've realised that feelings are okay. We're empowered to have them validated. Feelings are neither right nor wrong. It's what we do with them. And for some people, it's a very easy, innate thing to be self-aware. And you often find with those people that they're very aware of others. If you're aware of yourself, you learn to be aware of others. But for some people who've grown up in environments where there was no emotional depth, there was perhaps emotional neglect, feelings were not allowed to be felt, or the feelings they saw, the emotions they saw were scary, like anger, or very heightened anxiety, then in both those cases, feelings are shut down. And a lot of people come to me feeling very stuck. They don't know what they feel, and following that, they don't know who they are, and they want to change. So how can we change? Well, one of the ways to become more self-aware is to write a daily journal or an emotions journal. And one sort of rider with all of this is that to not to be afraid that we are going to be navel-gazing for the rest of our lives, that it's too introspective and we're to see the bigger picture. I totally agree. But this is like a language that you haven't learned before. So for a while, you have to concentrate on the language of getting the fluency, of putting the discipline in. Once you're fluent, you don't notice the language at all. It's innately part of who you are. So with this emotions journal, it's a discipline. 2 or 3 times a day, stop yourself and say, what am I feeling? Where has this come from? And what's the thought underneath? And if you really want to dig, what's the need that drives all of this? So, for example, I'm feeling anxious. And maybe I'm feeling anxious and I haven't really noticed that, but I've started scratching my hands. Or I've got stomach ache. Okay, that's showing me I'm anxious. Okay, what am I anxious about? I'm anxious that I'm going to a meeting and I don't think I'll fit in. What's the thought under that? I don't fit in, I haven't got value. What's the need under that? The need is, I really want to be accepted and feel I add value. We can also note down when we react, because God is a responder, not a reactor, and he wants us to be responders. So when we react, often disproportionate to the situation, then there is something underneath it. Note those down too. What will happen is you'll see a pattern. You're noting down emotions that you didn't realise you had, and you'll notice maybe there's more of anxiety, and you actually have a low level of anxiety which you never realised. You'll also see a pattern of how and when these things happen and how you feel and what you feel. It will just help you to be more self-reflective. Some of this can be done with a counsellor, but actually we need to be doing this all the time. It needs to be an innate skill that brings us into wholeness. Building a good support group, friends that reflect back who we are, good and bad. People who laugh, cry, with you, and vice versa. Authentic, intentional friendships. And that's when you can ask them, how do you see me? What are the things you like about me? What would you change about me? What do you see in me that I don't see in myself? Great accountability. Be aware of your needs. Be aware what drives you sometimes, and that will be part of your emotions journal. And then finally, because this is a short video, there's many more tips and skills, but this is a final one. Give yourself space to reflect. In the busyness of life at the moment, we need reflection time. We need definitely to Sabbath. That is a discipline that God wants us to do. But we need gaps in the day. And I'm learning this myself, that even though the need is great, I need gaps to reflect, to allow God to fill me up, to give out more. It's really important, contemplative living. The old monks years ago, and maybe still now, were called to prayer 7 times a day. Why? Because they needed to realign themselves to look up into the face of God. Maybe we need to put some kind of discipline in place to give ourselves reflection time, to realign ourselves and allow God to speak to us about what's in us and what he wants to do in us too. And not only that, through us. This is a scary journey for some, I understand that, but lean into the pain. Sometimes God puts us against a wall. Sin or our stuckness brings us to the place where we really have to dig, and you lean into that pain. Sometimes God just brings it up in us, so lean into it, because honestly, coming into a whole spacious place is where God wants us, and he wants us to live healed and whole. Thank you.